Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here. The other day I did a post on the underclass. I feel that I should maybe speak on that subject matter just a little longer. So today I'd like to spend a moment doing that. The underclass. You know, since the beginning of society's existence, probably humans on Earth, we have had a system that has been designed in such a way that it is to work against the people by making it represent a success when one can claim success. And it really doesn't matter what the other says. In reality, the other represents failure. And so we basically go through life addressing it that way. I remember back in earlier times when Donald Trump was running for president, he was speaking about the important ideology or the theory of when you go to the park to compete. I think at this time he's talking about something like the racetrack, and every driver is there to drive, and you know what that means. The winner gets the prize. So he and his understanding of life is that you get out there amongst all of the nations of the world and you do whatever is necessary to acquire whatever you think makes you successful. It might mean land and wealth and other things. And you have to always remember what comes with it now. You know, there are some times that there's some crashes trying to win that game. But this is basically what has always happened, and it's really not new. The powers that be control the whole apparatus, and what happens for a period of time, then it passes around, and change comes and it passes that around. But what humankind really want, they never get, because no one is trying to get that to them. Because if anyone knows what it is and possibly how to get to it, it's those that's robbing you of it today. And there's no way they're going to share it with you. But you can always identify them. They're known as the filthy rich. Those who are so rich, you can get a camel through the eye of a needle before they get there, as far as heaven is concerned. Yes, this is what they refer to, that it really equals the same thing as the slave master. For those of you who have some idea what slavery is all about, the powers that be, and those who have all of this cash and can do anything in the world that they possibly want, money is never a problem for them. These are the ones, my friends. Yes, they are the slave masters. And they walk around with the rewards of the slave masters. And then you got those who the slave masters wouldn't be able to be as successful in their endeavors as they have had they not the support of others. And that was a broad scope of that support, taken from us all the way down from being that rich one to having a decent, real decent standard of living. And you come on down to people who, well, sometimes they have to go, well, they can make the bills week to week. They're supporters. Now, you know, the lower the money you get, which represents reward, indicates how little they need you. And now, these are the ones that are a little step above those of you who got nothing. The slave master, you got those who I just identified, you call them, I think Malcolm X called them the house niggas. They're the ones who do all the supporting. And the rest, the field niggas, are those who scraping. Those who actually become drunks because their life is so miserable. They actually become addicts because their life is so miserable. Some of them, they're just struggling from week to week trying to make it whatever they can. Sometimes they get caught up in all the drugs and and crime and some violence sometimes because life is so miserable to them. But this is the life that has been created for them by the slave masters, supported by all those others. So you got what they allow you to have. And this passes around. It doesn't matter whether you're communist or socialist or democracy. What they call that one? You know the other one, the one that they say we're a part of. Well, anyway, I think the message again is for those who are the underclass, those who walk around with bald mouths because they don't have teeth. They didn't have the wherewithal to protect themselves as they were growing up. Now this is their lot, and they just have to live with it. Living with someone else who want to curse them out if they got any little thing that they can hold on. I mean, it's like everybody's against you if you got nothing. The rougher your life is, the more people are against you. Nobody's coming up with a solution. They'll come up and say this and this and that. But people are afraid of solutions. So I'm saying to the underclass, you've been set up. You've been set up. And you've been taught that you are the problem. You know you're not the problem. You talk amongst yourselves and admit that you're not the problem, but you don't know what to do about it. You don't know what to do. Sometimes you seem like you just rather go stone crazy living in a world that causes so much pain, causes so much suffering, having you smoking weed all the time, just trying to trick yourself to fake it. Have you doing other kind of drugs to pretend that life is okay, or to hide the hell that's implanted in your brain and in your mind. And if you got some false teeth that'll keep dropping out, you better put some on hold, otherwise you'll be in the public speaking, and they'll know your story. Maybe I better take a pause. Okay, I'm back. Maybe that'll help a little bit. But I'm not just talking to the underclass, the poor people in America. I'm talking to the poor people all over the globe. You are the slave. Well, really everybody's a slave. But you're at the lowest end of the slavedom. And no one is thinking about relieving you. However, when I say no one, I'm talking about systemically. However, there are those who have been given some miracles. Let me tell you what a miracle for. God doesn't just go around here and choose somebody to do a miracle for you, and then the next person says, why you didn't do a miracle for me? Another person over here, well, God showed a miracle. I believe God, I know God because God did a miracle for me. All right, now you got the miracle, you know God. How come I don't have a miracle so I can know God? Here's why. Because God catches people in compromising situations where people are basically, and for the most part, throwing their lives away and don't care. And that is not really what they're intended to do. They just don't care. And for some strange reason, God, I can't tell you deeper than what I'm saying, will use them, will choose them and work a miracle, provide for them something that they know. Like, this is evidence. The only thing they ever get from God is evidence. Provide for them something that they know, that it is the evidence that there's a power superior to anything that they do know, and they accept it because the evidence is there to support it. Now, what happens? Their lives will change. The things that you do every day that you have accepted and believe and cool with, even though it kills you, they won't be able to do it like that. Now, see, you do that because you responding to your training from humanity, your training from the school, your training from just being a human being. Even going to church, all your training, these people don't know what they're talking about. Because everything keeps on supporting what is the status quo. And when you get this miracle, you got something to do. And that's to become a light in this darkness. So what you begin to do is go against the systems of the world. Not violently, but lovingly. Why? Because you understand that from the most highest power in the universe, no, well, let's not talk about God. Now, human power. from the most highest power, human power, all the way down. Everybody's been deceived. Everybody is responding to what we've learned to be. People haven't learned to be godly, and really they don't want to be, because when people try, folks end up being killed because the powers that be says, I am still the power. So for me, let me use me for example, if you don't mind. Now I learned that we can actually live as though we're in heaven, that all of our needs, wants, and desires can be met. I've learned that. I know, my friends, that we don't have to worry about food, clothing, shelter, education, health care, transportation, anything that's made by the hands of man. We can access it. Whew. I know it because I know that the resources for all of that stuff is free. I know that it was given by a power that you or I can't see, but the evidence is that it's here. I know that those things that are being made are made by people like you and I. They call us workers. The difference in the future is that we choose what we want to do, and we choose it based upon what is the greatest joy we get from it, because that is our reward. And as we give of ourselves, being joyous, all of the stuff that we create, food, clothing, shelter, education, healthcare, transportation, any kind of car, going to the moon, going all these other different places, you can do that when it's appropriate you want to go, if it's happening. Why? And it's free. What I mean by free, it's not really free. It's because it's what you have developed. It's what you, the people, have come together and done. Now, what I'm saying, you, the people, I'm saying not just we who are underclass. I'm talking about the proper way of doing things. I know that. You don't know that. You think the Democrats know that? Think about the Democrats in the United States. You think they know that? You think the Republicans know that? Of course they don't. You think the church knows that? That you can actually live and it's that simple as in heaven on earth? No, they don't know that. Who not gonna tell them? You ever heard this name said before? You've heard all kinds of stuff, but you never heard that before. You think they know that in Israel? No, that's why they're doing all that fighting. They don't know the truth. They don't know how simple it is to live as though you're in heaven. Those over in Gaza, Russia, you think Ukraine, you think these guys know how simple it is? People are dying, they're blowing up buildings, killing old folks, babies and children, just dying. These folks crazy. They filled with evilness. They don't know how simple it is. How simple it is to give God glory by letting God live in you and let love take over. No, they don't know that. Who's going to show them that? Who? Well, I can think of a few. And I'm talking about doing our time. I'm not going back in that biblical stuff. That's you. You waste your time on that. I can talk about what's happening today. Martin Luther King tried to a certain degree. Malcolm to a certain degree. I'm just saying these people now, there were many more. In other countries, there's martyrs who have just given their lives. They don't mean to give it. They're trying to do something. But the evilness of the world, say, hell no. And those who support the world, well, they don't know any better. And so things just keep happening, things just keep happening. And people like, I think the Holocaust, they talked about how evil that was. They talked about Mussolini and they talked about Vietnam, and they talked about how all evil stuff that was, but it didn't, even though when the war stopped, they said, things haven't gotten any better. But they keep saying they're just waiting, hoping in time. Well, see, that's because the powers that be that's riding the high order of things ain't giving up nothing. Until eternity comes, we at the underclass will be here if we don't turn to God. See, let me tell you, the poor folks, the underclass, right now, I'm offering you to turn to God first. Because these other people, it's gonna be hell for you to turn to God. You've been in this stuff too long. You're not gonna believe just because I say this, but you can believe easier than others. So when you can accept God to be in your life, and when I say being in your life, I'm talking about courageously. What I mean by that, I mean knowing the truth. Knowing that these guys are robbing you, and they don't know it. But it is your business to make sure they do know it. Why? Because they're going to stop. You see what I'm saying? Well, I hope that this message means something to the underclass, to the poor folks of the world, wherever you are. If you're sleeping on the bridges, if you're still eating out of the trash can, if you're walking around with your clothes and stuff in a basket pushing it, or dragging some black paper lunch, uh, garbage bag, or living in somebody's house who's trying to help you, but you know they don't want you there. If you're just living from day to day, I want you to know that it is because of the world you live in. It has nothing to do with God. Because God has given us choice. And even though we're at the bottom, that doesn't mean we have to take what's going on in the world. We can change our minds anytime we get ready. And once we change our minds, we'll walk accordingly. And it will be the evidence that we have changed. And you can't argue with truth. You cannot argue with truth. When you start, us, the underclass, when we start standing up and acting with truth, those who support that other higher evil, they can't hide it. They can't deny it because they see it. They see it. They've been seeing the other stuff that causes us so much pain. But now because you have been changed and you are reflecting, they see the truth that you've learned. And it affects them. But that's where it's going to have to start. Believe me, that's where it's going to have to start. Well, I'm going to stop now because it seems like every time I do something, it gets kind of long. But I hope I've been worthwhile listening to. Until next time, this is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. Saying goodbye for now.